Hey guys, it's Pepper after like a billion years of not uploading. And by that I mean like a week. But anyway, I'm no good artist in the sense of like pen and paper, but I do a lot of other art forms like needle felting, crocheting, sculpting, carving, stamp making, painting, paper crafts, and especially writing. Now, I would like to mention before I start yapping, these things are very, very, very subjective. They are my opinion, and if they don't align with your personal opinion, that's perfectly fine, and you do not have to apply this to your writing. As a writer, when I used to actually care about like what people's writing advice was, I would go and watch people say things about writing that just didn't make any sense to me, like at all. And that's why I stopped watching anything about writing advice, because it really just depends on the person, the way they write, and the genre that they are writing. So yes, we are going to say this together, all together, okay? I do not care about random people's opinions in writing and in real life because they don't know me and I don't know them. Okay, anyway, now that that's over with, a stranger you don't care about is going to share a couple of writing opinions with you. What I would like to talk about today is writing LGBTQIA2 plus characters in books or shows or games or anything really. The first thing I'm going to discuss is when you write a character that is LGBTQIA2 plus, how do you establish their sexuality and gender without it being forced? This is a question that I've been asked like so many times, whether that be like online or in my comments or with friends. Literally, so many people have asked me this, but it's really an easy question to answer. There's really a lot of different ways to do it that depend a lot on the genre and your style of writing. Let's start with the most obvious one where sexuality would probably matter the most, a romance story. In a romance, you could have one of the people like the other, but not be 100% sure about their sexuality. So they might ask what the other person's sexuality is. You can have it be in a moment with a lot of romantic tension, or you can have the character put it off as like a joke or a random thought they had. For example, let's take two of my OCs, Akio and Barakitori. Ignore the names. I'm really bad at naming characters. But anyway, let's say Akio, which is a gay man, and also Barakidori is also a gay man. But for the sake of this, let's say we don't know if Barakidori is gay, right? Let's say Akio wasn't sure if Barakidori was straight or if he also liked men. So it would go something probably about like this. Maybe they're laying together in bed or somewhere. I don't know. Maybe they're like having a sleepover. I don't know. I don't know how to write romantic tension because I don't write the romance genre, but like I read it a lot. So anyway, so if you know how to write romantic tension, put them in a scenario with a lot of romantic tension. Then Akio could ask like, "Are you gay?" And Barakidori could respond in any way you want your other character to. If they're straight, or if they're gay, or if they're bi, or if they're pan, or whatever. Or if Akio wasn't close enough to Barakidori for that level of intimacy, then he could just bring it up in casual conversation. For example, they might, like, say something a little bit, like, I don't know, stereotypically gay. And then Akio could be like, "Are you gay or something?" Or like, "Are you gay?" Right? And then after they answer, he could be like, "Oh, I was just joking," you know? These are just examples, but the point is you have to establish something that you think would happen naturally, like in real life. Now, let's go to like a different genre. If it's, for example, a coming of age or a slice of life, the character could gradually realize that they are LGBTQIA2+. Whether that be from their own curiosity or maybe they get exposed to it from a friend or something who is LGBTQIA2+. Maybe they can't define it specifically, but they know that they align with a different gender or sexuality than the others around them. Let's take an OC of mine that is trans. Mary, or Mark. Mark is their dead name, so, yeah. they are trans. If they were in a slice of life, maybe they could go to their close friend Faye, who is gender neutral and femme presenting. And they've been friends since childhood, and Faye came out to Mark. Well, at the time, Mark. And Mark wondered what that was. So they asked, and thus Mark was introduced to the idea of the non-binary gender identity. And through that introduction, Mark, over time, gradually did more research on the LGBTQIA2 plus topic, and because obviously she wanted to, like, think, like, understand their friend's identity, and she gradually realized that she fit more with female than with the male identity she had at birth. And that's how Mark became Mary. I know those are like two stereotypical names, but I don't care, okay? Anyway, now let's take it into a horror setting. Similar with the romance examples, you could have it be a moment that's like really, really tense. Except instead of romantic tension, they're fearing for their lives. One might confess what they think might be their last moments, that they're actually lesbian or gay or bi or anything similar, etc. And I know that's a really cliche trope, like, guys, just in case we don't make it out, I'm gay. But, like, cliches aren't always that bad, and also it's really, really hard to avoid cliches, especially when it's something, like, less talked about, There's not that many ways to do it. Anyway, it could be a complete opposite scenario, a rare time of peace in the chaotic horror scene, the dystopian world, you might say. And they might say something about if they don't survive longer, they wanted the other characters to know that they're gay. And now, also, don't worry, if you have like an asexual or aromantic OC in literally any genre, you can have someone, a different character, confess their love, whether it be sexual or romantic, and the aromantic or asexual character can say that they're asexual or aromantic. If they're aroace, it could be a normal confession. If they're asexual, they could be in a romantic relationship with a partner, and the partner tried to initiate sexual relationships, and the character can say that they're asexual and they don't want to do that. If they're aromantic, they could have a sort of like friends with benefits relationship, and the other person confesses their romantic love, and the character can say that they are aromantic. But overall, with literally any genre, the best way to establish these things is either not spoken in the sort of alien stage way, as in, like, it's very obvious that they're gay, lesbian, etc. And I know that that's, like, controversial because alien stage is a, like, psychological horror, and also it's not really always consensual in alien stage, but ignoring the dynamics, okay, pretend that those were perfectly good dynamics. Pretend that they both loved each other and everything was fine and dandy, right? It's very obvious that they are gay or lesbian, right? Or to be, like, told outside of the actual story, whether that's, like, in extras or not in the book at all and on maybe a social media page for the book. For example, in Promised Neverland books or the Seraph of the End books, there are these panels that have characters and their info, like the info about the characters, among other things. And in the Toilet Bound Hanako-kun manga, there's a lot of extra scenes at the end and beginning of each book, and it would be really easy to reveal sexuality, among other things, in those shorts or panels. Now, for the past 9 or so minutes, I've been talking a whole lot about how to establish your character's identity, and I think we need to move on to the next thing. I would like to talk about how to make an LGBTQ character that feels real. Let's start with the most obvious part. Don't make them a stereotype. Obviously, this applies to literally every aspect of them. Personality, don't make a gay person say they're gay every 5 seconds. The way they dress, don't make an LGBTQ character only wear the color pink. And don't give a lesbian a nose ring for no reason. The way they act, don't make a bisexual person a cheater or, like, indecisive or something like that. The backstory, don't make a non-binary person whose backstory is a Frankenstein's monster trope. Any other aspect of themselves, Like, for example, don't make a non-binary person with body dysmorphia. You get my point. Any stereotype you can think of, whether that is the mean lesbian trope or the gay person sounding like this and saying period baddie every 10 seconds, the only scenario that it's okay to add someone like that is if it's satire, as in making fun of the way that people portray LGBTQIA2 plus people. Now, you can have some stereotypes that aren't like a large part of their personality or like a main character archetype, but still, it's really better to avoid any stereotypes if you can. Anyway, the second part of understanding and writing LGBTQIA2 plus characters that feel real is inspiration. Most forms of art take inspirations from the creator of the art. Believe it or not, even something as absurd as Attack on Titan takes inspiration from the creator's life. Obviously, not literally, there's not real Titans in the world, but it is inspired by the large wall that the creator lived next to in his childhood. Anyway, my point is, to write things well, you have to take inspiration from yourself or your surroundings. Take things you've experienced them and use them as a building block for your character. You can't make a character feel any more real than that, than the actual experiences that have happened to you. It's like using a drawing reference for your characters. You put your characters through the same experiences you have. And now, that was kind of a random segment, but it's also really important for this next part, which is why it's important to write LGBTQIA2 plus characters correctly. If you've watched any of my previous videos, I've probably said this once or twice, and you've probably heard it about once or twice. But before, I just want to say it again. If the representation of LGBTQIA2 plus people is incorrect in any way, whether that be overly sexualized or stereotypical or not very inclusive, it makes people who see the representation think of LGBTQIA2 plus people as those things, perpetuating and creating new stereotypes. And this helps to oppress and overcome the overall diversity in the LGBTQIA2 plus scene. And it can also make more people homophobic if the stereotypes are negative. It can also make queer people feel oppressed and offended. And saying this as someone who is LGBTQIA2 plus, it makes me so mad when I see these harmful tropes in the wild, because literally no one acts like that. Not a single person I've ever met acts like that. And it just pisses me off so much, because people will actually believe these things. If there's anyone who somehow still doesn't get why this is a bad thing, imagine someone spread a rumor about you doing something bad, and people all over the place believe this, to the point where everyone who isn't, like, close enough to know you now believe this rumor. And if you change that topic of the rumor to the LGBTQIA2 plus community, and then you have the result of bad representation of the LGBTQIA2 plus community. This is just overall very harmful for the progression of the LGBTQIA2 plus community as a whole. Now, arguably, the most important part of writing an LGBTQIA2 plus character is their sexuality doesn't need to be in the spotlight, like, at all. Don't make a big deal about it, because if you do, it's alienating that queer character from the other characters. Just because they're gay doesn't mean that it needs to be treated as a huge thing, because it's really not a big deal. Your character has a personality? No way! Anyway, that's my more than 2 cents on writing LGBTQIA2 plus characters. I hope you guys all liked this video, and I hope this helped you write your sweet little gay OCs into existence. Thank you for watching this, and if you would please consider subscribing or sharing this video, that would be very appreciated. Thank you so much for letting me yap about this, and I hope you got something out of it too. Bye, honeys! Hey, editing me here. Sorry about the, like, really bad audio on this video. I don't know what it was. I think I was just being, like, really loud when I was talking. I'm gonna try to, like, dampen it, maybe. But, yeah. if it sounds really, really bad, or it's, like, really loud, I'm so sorry. But, bye, honeys. For real this time, though.
Oh, someone stole my lolly. Someone stole my lolly. Was it you, Mother Goose?
Está en tu mano, huevito apestoso.
Did you steal my lolly?